And we are on. Good evening, good evening. Welcome to the show. My name is Jerome. This is Psycho Silver. Thank you so much for putting my show on. I do hope that today you are counting your wealth in ounces and that especially you're holding your word to yourself. It's very important. I hope you're having a good night. I'm having a great night, even though the news is not that great. What I like to do on this channel is I sort through so many different news sources. I have all these accounts with people that I've been following for years, and it's taken me years and years to figure out who's full of shit and who's worth following. And if they're full of shit, I just unfollow them and I don't pay attention to what they say unless I am studying what they say to learn how not to think like them, or if I think that they're guilty of deception. There's a lot of deception out there. And I know we do associate a lot of the deception, the misinformation, the propaganda, should I say? Is that a naughty word? We associate that kind of language with politics, but to tell you the truth, it's more deeply embedded in the philosophy of money than anywhere else. Something I learned. So I do like to pay attention to what the average people are encountering when they attempt to educate themselves. It's no wonder that the bottom 50% of people only have 2% of the wealth. If you go and you try and learn something from these online news sources or even just the social medias that are completely rigged to give you bad information, to mislead you, to keep you in a box, to keep you in a really awful echo chamber. That's all they're there for. If you're learning from these sources, well, you don't have much of a chance, to be honest, unless you're lucky enough, like me, to discover the silver stacking community, the sound money community, and also what we've come to refer to as the Great Awakening. That can mean a lot of different things, and I understand that's a very loaded word, but there is many people awakening right now. And I'm one of them. It inspired me to start a channel, and I'm here to serve you. I'm here to serve you. I hope I can do that. So tonight, I got a whole bunch of information for you. I got some analysis and commentary. I guarantee you that I found interesting things that you did not find today. And so that's why you're going to keep coming back to this channel, is I'm always going to find interesting things that not many other people, or maybe nobody, is going to find unless they've spent the same amount of time going through all this that I do. Also, one last thing. My goal is to grow this channel to a critical mass. And once we hit that critical mass, we're gonna start bringing on guests, and we're gonna make this really something good. That's my plan. So help me. If you do enjoy any of what you're watching, a like is always helpful, because that's my intention, to grow this channel. I don't want to be the biggest channel. I just want to be big enough to serve the community and attract the most interesting guests on that I possibly can. So with that, let's jump into the news. First up, I have a little fear porn for you. Do you like porn? Do you like fear porn? Here I have an article from the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail writes, Putin deploys Belgorod nuclear submarine, which carries Poseidon underwater drone capable of unleashing radioactive tsunamis, which lay waste to enemies' coastlines. Russian nuclear submarine Belgorod has left its White Sea base. It is claimed NATO warns sub might be on a mission to test Poseidon drone, Italian media said. Poseidon is a doomsday device designed to trigger a 1,600-foot nuclear tsunami. Oh, shit. It comes after Putin threatened the West with nukes over the war in Ukraine. Get out of here, you stupid ad. Vladimir Putin may have deployed a large nuclear submarine carrying the latest doomsday weapon. NATO has warned its members the Belgorod has disappeared. It's disappeared from its home base in the Arctic Circle and may be on its way to the Kara Sea to test the Poseidon nuke. A NATO warning note leaked to Italian media over the weekend has suggested. Ooh, they suggested it. Poseidon is a drone that is said to be capable of traveling huge distances underwater before detonating with enough force to trigger a 1,600-foot nuclear tsunami designed to drown and irradiate coastal cities. Ooh, and there's pictures of this thing. Wow. It's always tough to get the scale when it's out in the open sea like that. I bet it's a lot. Oh, well, it says it's 600 feet there. Yeah, it's fucking big. That's real big. And what is this? Poseidon is an underwater drone. So is this the drone right here? Oh, we have some schematics to show us what this is all about. That's pretty I guess this thing is well known. If the test does go ahead, it would be Putin's latest attempt to intimidate the West over his failing war in Ukraine, after he was suspected of ordering stealth attacks on the Nord Stream pipelines last week. Oh man, that's I'm a little suspicious of that. I'm a little suspicious of that last headline there. What do you guys think? I think that might be a little bit of
We are not gamblers here at the Iron Bank, Lord Tyrell.
Yeah. Next up. And this one, this was kind of out of context, but I'm putting I wanted it in the show. We're gonna get to the stuff that I normally cover, but I just found this so interesting. I said I'm gonna put this up front. Number of UK ghost flights revealed. Check this out. This is weird. This is so weird, guys. Tens of thousands of empty or almost empty planes have left and entered the country since 2019, The Guardian reports. More than 35,000 commercial flights have operated almost empty in the UK since 2019. Say what? The Guardian reported this week, citing data from the Civil Aviation Authority. During that time, a further 5,000 completely empty passenger flights reportedly entered and exited the countries. Are you serious? Airlines commonly operate ghost flights to retain the right to use their scheduled takeoff and landing slots at airports during normal times. EU regulations required airlines to operate 80% of their slots. So the EU regulations are forcing the airlines to operate in their slots. And these are the same people that want you to eat the bugs, right? Like they say, you've surpassed your meat credits for the year, sir. Your account's gonna be suspended. It's the same people. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, the guideline was suspended, but then reintroduced at a level of 50% last December. The European Commission said that 50% threshold would be raised to 64 this year, April to November flight season. Well, that leaves me with so many different questions.
I was calm on the outside, but thinking all the time.
Are these planes really empty? Is it almost, so this is one of those things. This is one of those things where I'm like, that is too weird to be true. Like, it's got to be a lie somehow. Like, those planes aren't empty. They're carrying other things that they're not disclosing to us. They're carrying people that they're not disclosing to us who those people are. It just sounds like a lot of deception. Or also, maybe I ought not underestimate the insanity of government, especially the EU. How about that? I don't know. I'm gonna keep an eye on this. I want to come back to see if there's any further developments in this story. On to silver. Big day in silver. Michael from Mike Says 98, really excellent account on Twitter. I do recommend you follow this gentleman on Twitter. COMEX registered silver drops 41 million ounces, drops to 41 million ounces total. Lowest level since October 23rd, 2017. Vault totals now at lowest level since June 11th, 2020. Open interest now equals 203% of all vaulted silver and 1,549% of all registered silver. The registered part is the important part. The silver that it's in the vault is not necessarily for sale. The registered is what matters, because the registered is what's available to buy and sell. The vaulted silver has an owner, and the owner is not selling, at least not at this price. So technically, if all the registered silver is out, then there's not any silver, unless the people that have, it's not even people, the institutions that have the silver in the vault are willing to sell, and at what price to remonetize the vault with silver. Crazy stuff. And I left out the big headline. The big headline was silver was up at 1.9% on the day. And I did see, we probably have some tweets coming, but I ought to mention it now. We did see that several times today, silver was having some of its biggest days ever in terms of gains, big gains. We thought the stock market might be maybe not crashing, but sliding today. A lot of concerns over Credit Suisse. I did ask, is this potentially a Black Monday? They say every Monday is a Black Monday, but it seemed like it might really be true. This Deutsche Bank might really be true this time. Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse, the UK bond crisis. I said, oh man, it might be real this time. It might be serious this time. Michael writes, as of 8 p.m., APMEX has just 514 silver kilo bars in stock. They had more than triple that amount just 17 days ago, and over 3,000 of them back in January. Hashtag silver squeeze. Next up. I did want to point out to you, that was a junk slide. I did want to point out to you, this is important. Let me get on the big screen for this. Before I show you the information that I'm going to show you, I just want to say that on a day like today, where silver was up nearly 10%, not one fucking mention of it on the mainstream news. Not any of them. Not, I don't know. I could just sit here and name them all, but you can basically just get onto Google News or any kind of aggregator, and the only place that you see information about silver and gold, for that, sometimes they'll tell you a little bit about gold, but it's usually in passing, but they never mention silver. You have to be part of Wall Street Silver. You need your account set up on Twitter. You need to be part of the Silver Bugs community on Reddit. You need to be part of the Precious Metals Facebook groups. You need to be following guys like Mike Maloney and what's that gentleman's name? Marcus. Oh, I'm going to blow his name. Like Mike Maloney, like Robert Kiyosaki, like Peter Schiff. If you don't follow these guys, like Rafi Faber and the gentleman at Arcadia Economics, if you don't follow people that specifically cover silver, like I'm going to do on this channel, they'll never tell you. And they ignore it. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people, they're with the way they understand silver, the average person does not understand the size and importance of silver. And there's a lot of stackers and people that are involved in the community on some level, and they still don't understand. There's people that, how would I say it, that I respect for their knowledge in finance and economics, and they can do technical analysis and they can speak very eloquently about all this financial language, and they write all these beautiful tweets about money and economics and geopolitics. But I question, I feel like these people don't really understand silver. And I'm going to demonstrate why for you right here. Let me open a drink real quick. I was trying to think of Chris Marcus's name, and it was just leaving me. It's Chris Marcus or Katie Economics. Great channel. Got to follow him. And Rafi Faber. But let me show you what I mean here. This is important. Over 16,000 assets ranked by market cap. And so this isn't like an actual market cap, because like these people, like, okay, so you see gold is up there in top. It's a $1 trillion market cap, right? So gold is the most valuable asset, unless you count what some people estimate as a quadrillion dollars in derivatives. Quadrillion. A quadrillion in derivatives. And after you get past all the derivatives, and even the dollar is a derivative. And by magic, we're convinced that it's money and it's debt, and it's a derivative debt. All dollar is derivative debt, and it's not money. But by magic, we've been convinced otherwise. Okay, so now this chart here, these are real assets. These are real assets. And the first one on there, as you can see, is gold at 11 trillion in value all around the world. And that is why gold is still a reserve asset. People have the ignorance to say that gold is dead, that it's a pet rock. Right here, it's the most abundant asset on earth and held by central banks all over the world as a reserve asset, right? So no, gold's not going anywhere. And after that, you have Apple and Saudi Aramco. I mean, that's no surprises. I'm actually surprised that energy probably needs to be number one, or will be number one on this eventually. Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway, United Health. The only one on here, the only one that the average person is not at all familiar with is silver. And it's the seventh largest, how do we want to say it? They're calling it, it's the seventh largest asset. Well, we could stick with that in the world. And it's completely fucking ignored. Crazy.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, that's silver on this. That's silver on.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
And one interesting thing that I learned from Rafi Faber, he had such an excellent point. And this is true, and I can even go into the history of all this. Gold and silver are the same thing. They're the same thing. The first money that was ever minted, I was learning about the first coins ever minted, was a substance of electrum, and that's gold and silver together. It's like 40-60. And so what happens, and this is the part that I'm taking from Rafi, is that gold is what the central banks hold, and the silver is what the public holds, and the silver has the effect of dividing up the gold. So when we arrive at our destination, and the destination is when the derivatives collapse, and dollar as a derivative also collapse, maybe even if it doesn't completely collapse, it's just greatly compromised, we can say like that, we will see silver shoot so high up this list beyond gold by multiples. Silver is so important, and it will be number one on this list. And I would expect it'll be much, well, gold's going to go up quite a bit too, but we'll see silver shoot way past it. It's coming. And so when you see that they're not paying attention to it and they just ignore it, it's because they know this is the silver bullet is what pierces the derivatives and pierces the fiat money and brings it down. And so they want to And I'm not just speaking out of my ass here. Like, this is history. This is why the founding fathers, no money should be except gold and silver. Because then you have to have financial prudence, right? And that's the last that's the last thing it's gonna be forced upon them. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's move on to the next thing. Here we have a post on Wall Street Silver. This is a good one. This is pure speculation. This is nothing but speculation, guys. This user writes, Albert has a good source here in DC and has been right before many times with his information. This is also why the lawyers at the Federal Reserve Bank always fight full independent Fed audits so much. They don't want the documents confirming with these bailouts. They don't want the documents confirming these bailouts, these covert bailouts released publicly. The truth is, UK ran out of money to defend the pound, and the Fed stepped in with $600 billion. Not inflows or whatever the theory floating around. It was the US that saved them. Well, that is quite a conspiracy theory there, isn't it?
Wolves can be dangerous, but also friendly.
I don't know what else I can really add to that. I just wanted to put it out there. There's nothing that would surprise me. There used to be people on Twitter that would defend the Fed if someone said, the Fed is buying bonds. No, they don't. They can't. That's illegal. The Fed may be buying equities. No, they would never do that. That's against the rules. Nothing would surprise me. Not even that. Because that's how far we've come. And what they're actually trying to do right now, I don't know what they're trying to do. I suppose just buy time and defer. What are they deferring? They're deferring the reckoning.
I was calm on the outside, but thinking all the time.
They're deferring responsibility. They are deferring their own punishment, perhaps. They're hoping the next guy holds a bag. I don't know what the heck they're doing. Maybe they're just really scrambling to prepare whatever comes next. Next up. Here we have a post on Wall Street Silver from the Happy Hawaiian. The Happy Hawaiian says silver just had its 7th largest daily gain in history, rising 8.97%. The largest daily increase was 13.26 on March of 18th, 2009. And today was the largest increase since that day. I see many downplaying the price action, but today does stand out as monumental. Hashtag silver squeeze. Got to get those ounces up. Did you get any ounces today? I got some ounces. Your boy's leveling up. Next up. Here's another recap of Ditch the Deep State also recapped how much left the COMEX vaults. That was 950,000 ounces out of the vaults plus 1.1 million ounces out of the register. But he added really important information to this. Today, also, we did have PSLV buying 1 million ounces. That is very, very significant. 1 million ounces. Wow. I mean, are we looking at a situation where this Sprott guy is going to end up like he's the next Gates or Elon on natural resources? I mean, you would think that the people that are involved in natural resources would always be the richest. But I suppose there's some kind of it's like we're on a pendulum, and we're bouncing, like it bounced to technology and derivatives and cryptocurrency and computers, and we spend some time on that end of it, and we will most likely be returning to natural resources and the stuff that's pulled out of the earth, and that'll be where the money is. It makes sense. I feel well, maybe I'm not the most qualified to talk philosophy on this topic, but I do kind of feel that on one hand we do want inexpensive food for everybody, but on the other hand I think that people that grow should be valued far more by society. And it's tough to say that we value these people when we see them constantly being put out of business because the pressure that's put on them by the prices that people are willing to pay. Energy. It's a tough life to be a grower. And I would wish that these people were at least more firmly entrenched in the upper middle class, like they're doing us a great service. But how the economy is modeled to make that a reality, I don't know. Is it just pure? I wouldn't think, that's the thing though, is I wouldn't think that this is pure capitalism at play. I'm not calling for like government to control the prices, but I would think that the natural economy would sort that out in some way, where the people that were producing things so valuable, and there's so much technology involved in that. So it's not like it's just this crude profession. The yields have been going up, but there's still so much pressure on them as making that financially feasible for so many people. What do you think about that? I would love for someday someone to be able to explain that to me more in depth. And I would love to have a guest on about that. Maybe like a Joel Salatin or someone cool like that. Okay, on to the next slide. I did want to have a look at, I had this tab open and I lost it. Was it this one right here? Oh yeah, okay, this is the one I was shooting for. I did want to show you the Sprott physical website and explain real quick. We did talk about PSLV on the last slide and about how they bought 1 million ounces. If you didn't know what PSLV is, it's one way to own silver. And what's cool about PSLV is, I'll just read these top 6 reasons here. It's fully allocated silver. The trust only holds fully allocated and unencumbered silver. There's no derivatives in your silver. So yes, in a way, it's paper silver. It's not in your hands, but they're not using your silver to short the markets. It's not lent out in 1,000 different ways. Like when you buy a share of PSLV, there's some silver in a vault that's yours, and it's not everyone else's. Okay, it's redeemable for metals. Unit holders can redeem their units for physical silver bullion on a monthly basis, and it's subject to minimum requirements. They got to make it worth their time and money, right? So if you do own PSLV, you can reclaim your silver. I wonder what that would, man, imagine getting silver at cost. Now there's an idea, because you pay a crazy premium getting silver bullion from your local coin dealer. That's the second, I mean, that's maybe the best way is to get the bullion from your local coin dealer. You get it mailed to your door, you're paying huge premiums. I wonder what the minimum would be from these guys to get a good deal. And then you just go and you redeem your shares for actual silver. Trustworthy storage. The trust's metal will be held in custody by the Royal Canadian Mint. Well, that's another problem, as it is in Canada. And this Trudeau is out of control. Out of control. I'm a little worried about that now. I don't know how I feel about this anymore. Canada is not trustworthy. PSLV is, but I don't know about Canada. Potential tax advantage. The trust offers a potential tax advantage for certain non-corporate U.S. investors. Oh, that's cool. Gains realized on the sale of the trust's units can be taxed at a capital gains rate versus the 28% rate collectibles. Okay, so even better than other ETFs, eh? Easy to buy, sell, and own. Yes, it is. Yes, it is very highly liquid. There's no, when you buy the shares of the PSLV, there's usually not very huge spreads. So when you put in a bid, you usually get the most current price, and you won't see like a crazy jump in the price when you go and you buy some off of online broker for PSLV. I hope that makes sense. And then I'm serving someone that's a little more on the new side with everything that I just said there. If you do invest in PSLV, there's plenty of buyers and sellers to make sure that you get the best price possible. Next up, here, I felt this was very important. We did see the Dow Jones have a huge day. I was wondering, is this thing going to crash? Like, what the heck is going on last night? We did see the Dow Jones put on a super big gain today. Some are calling it a relief rally, and many others are ready to resume a bull market. There's people that are ready to go. They're like, this is the bottom. The bottom is in. And to tell you the truth, I'm not a huge technical analysis guy, but this does not look bottomy. This does not look bottomy. I don't see very bottomy anything on this one here. This chart to me looks pretty concerning, and it looks as though, I don't know if my browser is going to let me do a little bit of TA or draw some trend lines on this, but it looks as though, where are we going with this? I mean, we are in a clear downtrend, and we did do something there. And then what if I draw another trend line across? What do we hit? Oh, there was a gap in the market there some time ago. Oh, so this is on old support and old resistance already. So actually, this is at a pretty pivotal. This looks pretty pivotal. And I would say this arc that it's in right now, this arc shape, I know I should be able to draw an arc on this. I'm not going to do full on technical analysis. That's not my bag, but you know, just on those two little trend lines there, I would be concerned. I wouldn't be calling this no bottom. I mean, you would even have to hold this horizontal trend line here, and I'm not convinced that it'll even hold that for the rest of the week. My 2 cents. On to the next thing. I did want to provide you with a little bit of context here. So we did see that today the Dow had a big gain. It ended up over here at 765 points, which is a huge. We're so that's another thing. We're desensitized to this. A 2.6% change in the Dow is a monster change. And 765 points is a monster change. And we're so desensitized that probably seems like nothing. But I said, hey, why don't we get a little context for this, right? So here's a list of this is the largest gaining days on the Dow. This is off of Wikipedia. Largest point changes, and when I sorted it by points, and you see right here, number 19. This is today. They already entered it into Wikipedia right here. Number 19 was October the 3rd. And to me, what that says is that does not look awesome. That looks like a lot of these biggest gains ever are pretty much usually just relief rallies. And what you're actually seeing is quite a bit of volatility. We'll skip that one. I had to add this into the show. If you did not catch this, I'm very pleased to show you what happened with Elon Musk today. We'll go to the beginning. We'll go to where it started. Elon asked Twitter, Ukraine Russia peace. Redo the elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. So Russia just had their vote of the annexed regions of the Ukraine, and people said, of course, it's illegitimate because Putin has it rigged, right? So he suggests, why don't we redo those elections under the supervision of the UN? Crimea, formerly part of Russia, has been since 1783 until Captain K's mistake. I don't know what that means. Water supply to Crimea assured. Ukraine remains neutral. Do you like this solution? 60% of people voted no. 40% voted yes. Elon writes, this is highly likely to be the outcome in the end. It's just a question of how many are going to die before then. Also worth noting that a possible, albeit unlikely, outcome from this conflict is a nuclear war. He's telling you the risks. He's telling you the risks here. We just saw that news with the submarine. And no one has a solution about how we can make this better, eh? The world, the EU and NATO and the Western banking cartel, they want beef. Highly probable that US did to the Nord Stream 2, right? Why? To isolate Germany? Next thing. This user writes, this is exactly what is wrong with UKR discourse. Elon Musk puts forth a bitter diplomatic solution for the conflict in lieu of a nuclear war, and Zelensky accuses him of support of Russia for even suggesting it. The media / foreign policy elite will now parrot Zelensky's position. Yeah, they only want to. I don't get it, guys. I don't get it. It's like they're under a spell. They only want war, and no solution's gonna satisfy them except for the utter capitulation of not just Putin, but anyone that stands in their way, right? Of anyone. Next up. I wanted to re-emphasize this point. This is from CNBC. Ukrainian ambassador tells Elon Musk to fuck off after billionaire infuriates nation with Twitter poll. American tech billionaire and CEO Elon Musk drew public ire of Ukraine's top officials after he claimed to know the most likely outcome of Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine. Fuck off is my very diplomatic point to you, Ukraine's outgoing ambassador to Germany said. The sharp rebukes were also notable because Elon has earned the quasi-folk hero status in Ukraine since the start of the conflict while he was trying to help them. And I would say that he earned that quasi-folk hero status. It looks like as though he was very, very helpful. And he's thinking right now in his efforts to help resolve this, he's thinking like an engineer, I would say. And, you know, this was the kind of things that they really hated the big T for this kind of shit. For looking for opportunities for negotiation rather than just getting on board with that European Western banking elite train that just vows to run over anyone that stands in front of it, regardless of the lives at stake. Something like that. But are we indeed watching a movie is my question. It's quite possible we are watching a movie. It makes me wonder. I did want to go back to Elon again and show you. He reposted this poll. He wrote, let's try this then. the will of the people who live in the Donbass and Crimea should decide whether they're part of Russia or Ukraine. And 42% of people said no. These are the same people hellbent on giving you democracy. They want democracy for us all. How do you believe? What I don't understand is, how do people hold these contradictions? It's like they're under a spell to believe that they can just run people over, tell them what to do, never negotiate, be iron-fisted because they're the morally superior, because they know it's right. And so you must stand out of the way and cast your gaze to the floor and allow them to take the moral lead and guide everyone and guide us all to a better future. You have no say. Just stand aside and let the good people handle this. You're not one of them. Step to the side. Okay, next up. Michael Berry writes, I admit that I'm feeling greedy. And there's a lot of speculation underneath that tweet. Is he going short or is he going long? I think he's been pretty clear. He's going short. Here we had a funny article. This is from Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge writes, man prints 3D guns for New York gun buyback event. Makes a whopping $21,000. Look at those little toy guns. Those are kind of cool, actually. I wouldn't mind just having a toy like that. That's really cool. I wonder how functional they are. I bet they work good enough. I bet they freaking work. Those 3D materials aren't bad. And the specifications, like how accurate you can get the pieces, isn't all that bad either. I mean, I wouldn't trust the thing to save my life. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that in a gunfight, but sure is freaking interesting. Next up. Jim Cramer writes, whoever gets Credit Suisse is going to do quite well. That is a great franchise.
Bulls can be dangerous, but also friendly.
Have you ever wanted to believe in something, even though you knew it couldn't be true? Did you ever want to believe it so bad?
There is such thing as the reverse Kramer index. I see people always assuming that it's going to go the other way. That's one of the running jokes on Reddit and Wall Street Bets. Is just take the side opposite of Kramer. Whatever he's doing, just do the opposite, and you're gonna do very well for yourself as an investor. Next thing up. How do you say this name? This is Concoda Economics. Concodanomics writes, UN calls on Fed and other central banks to halt interest rate increase. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. Will they do it? How much sway does the UN have over the Fed is a really interesting question right now. In fact, I just thought of this. I wasn't prepared to talk about this at all. But what the Fed does in this situation is going to tell us something about something. What do I mean? if we see open conflict between the Fed and the UN, well, then they're not in lockstep. And I would always just assume that these two institutions would be agreeing with whatever the other one said, right? Like, sure, it's different groups of people, but they all have the same philosophy, I would say. They're all under the same spell, whatever that spell is. I don't know. They have the same friends. they have the same religion. I don't know what that religion is, but the UN and the Fed and the World Economic Forum and many others, right? And many others, they're like that. Well, maybe they're not. Maybe we see some conflict there. That would be interesting. Onwards. Here's a good meme. Next up. Here we have a tweet from Michael. Here's another silver squeeze tweet. Michael writes, despite adding literally tens of thousands of ounces to their inventory today, APMEX is looking increasingly like it'll end the day with much less silver than it started with. Woohoo! I got mine. Did you get yours? Did you level up today? How about yesterday? You got some in the mail? What's going on? I got a little more fear porn. You like porn? I need a sound effect like, hey kids, do you like porn? Fear porn. Zero Hedge writes, North Korea's missile flew 4,500 kilometers to an altitude of 970 kilometers at a speed of Mach 17. This is according to Yonhap. I don't know who Yonhap is. And I don't know how fast Mach 17 is. How fast is Mach 17? Do we need to do a Google search on the fly right now? We'll do it live. Let's see. Let's see. Did you see that? X video, Pornhub, X video, Pornhub. Just kidding. Let's check this out. Mach 17. Is Mach 7? So apparently if they're asking if it's possible, that must be really fast, eh? The discovery of a stabilizing detonation, the most powerful form of intense reaction and energy release, has the potential to revolutionize hypersonic propulsion and energy systems. Man, we have articles here asking if Mach 17 is a is it possible? And we have fucking North Korea doing that? What in the world is going on? We're going to have to look into this a little more. Now I'm really we have a Russian submarine on the loose. We have the North Koreans who couldn't fly a missile that long ago. They were all failures and now one's going at Mach 17. What the hell is going on here? I'm going to have to look. That's frightening. Now I'm a little concerned. A lot of bad things happening at the same time. I was told there may be a storm. Someone said that there might be some sort of storm. Did y'all hear that same thing? UN calls on Fed and other central banks to halt interest rate hikes. Yeah, we saw that. Oh, there's the original. That's Wall Street Journal there. Next up. Oh, this was so funny. A user on Wall Street Silver wrote, "Explain the bank Swiss thing to me like I'm 5, please." Powerful proposal. 19 writes, "They have no money." Yeah, more or less. More or less. No liquidity, sir. There's not enough liquidity in the system.
I was calm on the outside, but thinking all the time.
Sting is a pyramid since time immemorial. Shit runs downhill, money goes up. It's that simple.
Next up. Here we have a tweet from Bob Coleman. He's another really guy that's very knowledgeable and very what's the word I'm looking for? He's another one of those pillars in the precious metal space. I don't know what his profession is. I'm sure he does something important. He always has such good information. Bob Coleman writes 1.1 million silver ounces left the COMEX registered category today. There is 851 million left in silver at the COMEX. Imagine how many funds / institutions could make a 0.2% allocation to physical and the impact that it would have. This is the most important thing. We had a look at the total amount of silver market cap that is available in the whole entire world. And it was like 7th on the list, right? But when you look at the amount of dollars that are in existence, which is kind of incalculable, to be honest, there's a question that I don't even think anyone can answer, but how many of those dollars are usable? How many dollars these different investment institutions have in their grasp? Banks, wealthy individuals, mutual funds, and there's only a little bitty pile of silver relatively left at the COMEX. So there's still the LBMA vault, and there's another vault in Shanghai, all of which are being drained. And so the usefulness of this tweet is Bob Coleman here did express this number in dollars rather than ounces. So there's context for you, right? 851 million, like there's a few billionaires that could buy all the rest of the fucking silver for themselves. And like we discussed, silver is not this little itty bitty insignificant metal that some weirdos on the internet like to talk about. No, it's big. Like it's a vital commodity to all technology. And it does serve the purpose of dividing up the gold, at least it has. And some of us still see it as money. And I think when you put a cryptocurrency on top of commodities, you will have the perfect money. And I did have an argument with someone that has, well, not an argument, but someone on the internet with a lot of followers the other day asked, "What is money?" And I know this gentleman wanted to make a point, and I said, "Silver's money." And he laughed at me and said, "Ha ha, silver's not money." I'm like, time out, man. Do you know where the word money comes from? Do you know what the very first money on planet Earth that humans, the very first money ever created? It was gold and silver, okay? So if you mean what is the perfect money, okay, well, maybe that's not physical bullion. But maybe it fucking is after you put on your seatbelt. You put on your seatbelt for what's coming. So, back to the point. Any given institution, any wealthy individual or any collection, any significant amount therein could buy up all the silver so fucking fast there would be nothing left, and the price it's going to the moon. Even if the apes, the silver stackers, got to do it themselves, that silver's gone one way or another, and there was a deficit in the world supply either way. This is happening. And he explained it in dollars there. It's like, yeah, that ain't shit. There must be some sort of unwritten rule that people that are privy to, you know, the real shit, you know, the ones that go to the Bilderberg or, you know, attend the economic forum or, you know, go hang out in Jackson Hole and that sort of place for the economic conferences. There's some sort of rule they have amongst themselves. Nobody buys up all the silver, right? Don't do it. You can get rich there's other myriad of ways for you to get rich, but don't you stay the fuck away from silver. And why is that? It's coming to a head. Something big. One user underneath this also wrote, platinum is closer to being drained than silver. If silver does what you expect, platinum will go sooner. So maybe it's platinum. Maybe it's platinum that gets this whole party started. Would not be surprised. I mean, we already had the nickel incident, right? Do you all know about the nickel incident? Well, the LME, the London Metals Exchange, already basically defaulted on a metal like we expect silver will, and that metal was nickel. But if you've never heard of that, go and check that out right now. Just write into a search engine nickel default LME and you'll find what you're looking for. All right, we're almost done here, guys. Let's finish this show out. 1 hour. Woo, time goes by fast when you're dumping adrenaline from frightening articles, eh? Next up, we did have an excellent tweet from Rafi Faber. Rafi writes, Yom Kippur is tomorrow. The traditional greeting for Yom Kippur is this word. It's Yiddish. I can't say that Yiddish word. That can be loosely translated to have a good end game. And so I say to the world, it's 5783. Have a good end game. Well, thanks for frightening me some more, Rafi. I really appreciate your your input there. Next up. And again, I need to look into this. Zero Hedge is asking, Kim has hypersonics before the US. Wait, we don't have hypersonics? I know. Well, I've most often heard the hypersonic word associated with Russia. This seems to be like some other whole different level of, what's the word? Well, I'm confused. This is some whole other level of the illusion being shattered. I'm sure there's many weapons that no one knows about, including ones that we have, and hopefully we never have to find out. But I always thought North Korea had little crappy rockets that didn't work. And now where are we? Okay, let's finish this show out. Here's a funny tweet from Doomberg. This is another great financial Twitter. I do recommend you follow Doomberg. Doomberg covers energy quite a bit. Doomberg writes, when does the Pope call for the Fed to pivot? The Pope. Another one. The Pope is another one that just seems like he's always in lockstep with the EU, with the World Economic Forum, with one of the parties that is prominent in US politics. I won't get too specific. With someone named Soros, with someone named Klaus. Next up. Oh, last thing. This is the interesting thing. This is the last thing for the evening. We got so busy. We got so busy with the stock market, with being terrified by nuclear submarines and hypersonic missiles and the destruction of illusions and the death of the dollar and all that fun stuff, that we didn't have a look at bonds today. And this tells us quite a story. We did see, oh, my chart should have been open. I had it open. Sorry, guys. I'll open it up real quick. We did see today the bonds really cooled off. Let's go 10-year treasury. Open up for daddy. I want to see that chart. Come on. There you are. There you are. You know, in this 1 year is probably a little bit too long of a chart. Can I get 1 day, sir? Can I get it quickly? How quickly can I get 1 day? There we go. So we did see that today the bonds fell quite a bit. And what does that mean? They fell off a cliff right here. Look at that big, steep decline in the yield. There was another one too. Wow. And then they really shot back up. Are you seeing that? Interesting. Wow. Look at that action there. It makes me wonder. We're supposed to be doing quantitative tightening, but I don't know how much that directly involves the bonds. But it appears the bonds did catch a bid. And it is interesting. We've seen all these UK and Japan and other nations around the world asking for a cool off while they reverse course, and everyone else is asking for a cool off on the interest rates. And it makes me wonder, with these bonds, who stepped in as a buyer? Were these going to get out of control, and did the Fed step in? Pretty serious accusation, but this is the type of shit we have to wonder now, right? All right. And of course, that's another thing today that I didn't mention. You saw all the stories about the stock market, and the bull market's back on, and Kramer's telling you to buy, and even the crypto people are like, disaster averted. We're going back to the top. But I don't think so. And also, the story of silver was buried today. And also, the story of these bonds was buried today. Barely mentioned. And with that, I pulled this one to the front of the show here. I'm glad I made it. It was a little bit more of a tough night for me to get through this show, but I was committed. I said, I'm committed. I'm bringing another show tonight because I care and I want to serve you. So I do appreciate you. If you hung in there with me for that 1 hour and 5 minutes, please, if you have any feedback for me about how I can make this more interesting, or if there's anything that I'm doing that is a little annoying, I appreciate your feedback. Leave me a comment. And I do wish you a good night, and I hope that you're in good health, and I'll be back with more for you very soon, tomorrow even. See you soon. Goodbye.